folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. So I thought that, it's the end of the year, or at least really close. Maybe we should do a little recap on just your preps, the things that you probably should be getting focused on. I know some of this is just things that you already know, things that you're already doing. Maybe you've already accomplished all of this. But I think we all need some reminders from time to time of just where we need to be, some goals that we need to set forth. I made a video a week or two ago about kind of, what you should probably be doing for 2023 in reference to setting goals. You should really set goals for this year because of the seriousness of things that are happening this year and that could potentially happen. Priorities like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and try to stick to that. Come up with the things that are the most important, the things that you need to do that are very serious, and say, hey, I need to get this done within the next 3 months, and then the next 6 months, and so on and so forth. And so I wanted to do just a little recap. And again, I know that all of you, or most of you, are probably doing this, but this is really more of just kind of motivational, kind of a reminder, friendly reminder, and kind of to motivate you to kind of do this. And a lot of it's just basic stuff, but we still need to be doing that. Before I get started with that, I just wanted to mention some things that are happening here on a local level. And I understand that the vast majority of you are not involved in what we do here locally because, well, you're not local. But I just thought you might want to know. As you're probably well aware, we have our local meeting that we do every month, and we're building that out into a local community. And we have little satellite meetings throughout the state that have kind of come out of our larger meeting that we do every month. And we're doing things more and more on a local level. We do work days at different people's places. If we find out that someone in our group is in need of something, we've hauled, that I'm aware of, probably at least 5 or 6 loads of firewood to different people, maybe even more than that, that we find out that people need it. And so we just, bring it over there to them. We have helped them out with, certain medical needs that they have, whether it's financial or otherwise. So there's a lot of charitable aspect to what we're doing here locally. And so we're just continually doing more and more, and we've kind of set some big goals for 2023. And I just wanted to give you an update on that, so that even though you're not directly involved, you can kind of see your support of this channel, where it's going, because a vast majority, not all, but a big bunch of what we're doing, a lot of it's being supported by this YouTube channel. So it's, of course, there is local support. There's local money that comes in from our local group through donations and stuff. But this YouTube channel does help fund a large portion of what we're doing. So I just wanted to let you know that you're watching this channel, or you supporting this channel through the links that you click on down below, or anything like that. A lot of that is helping do the things that we're doing. So we meet at a big community building, and it's kind of unique in respect to being out in the middle of nowhere. If we were in a city, finding something like this is very common. But again, we're way out in the middle of nowhere, and there just happens to be a local organization that has a big community building. There's not really a town there, so to speak. There's not much around. But there is a fairly nice big community building. Maybe you've seen it in some pictures or videos that I've done, and that's where we host our meetings. And so we have worked out a deal with this other nonprofit organization that runs that we will pay a small fee every month, and we will get it for our meetings. So we have that building that day for our meetings. And then we get 4 days a month during the week. It's the same day each week, and those are our days to use that building. And so we will have access to this very large community building. It's not just that it's a community building, it includes the whole grounds. There's a 20 acres grounds there. It includes a little park. It looks like what you would see at a municipal community park and center, but it's not. It's all run through a nonprofit. And it includes some woods and a large field, and so we have access to all of that 4 additional days a month. And so we are planning quite a bit. 1 day a month we're going to be doing a homeschool group, and we've already got several families signing up to be involved in that. We will be doing additional training throughout the month. And we've got some really great contacts in that aspect, whether it's more physical training, firearms training. Of course, you can't do that in a building, but you can do the classroom part of it. Medical training. We've talked about doing other homestead level training, doing a canning day. There's actually one of the members is going to be butchering one of their livestock animals, and we're going to do that at the building, do the full butcher there. It's because it has a very large kitchen also. There's a lot of stuff that we're doing within the community, and it's exploding. It's good and it's exploding. So I wanted to just let you know that you're supporting this channel is also supporting this stuff. And so if you want more information, if you would like to support our efforts here locally, because it's all being done by just those of us involved, out of our pockets. And like I said, this channel does help support a large portion of that. If you'd like to support more, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, or get in contact with me. Or if you'd just like to know more about it, we're doing a community newspaper that we're hoping to eventually evolve into, and it's getting to that point to where it's an actual newspaper that's not just emailed to people, but we will be placing it in some of the local areas around here, and talking about some of the activities. Now, I understand a lot of you are thinking OPSEC, operational security. We're very careful about that, and so even in our community newspaper, it's focusing more on the homesteading aspect, but we do talk about some of the other stuff that we're doing, that we're preppers, but homesteading preppers, and we are very careful about our operational security. So I just wanted to give you an update on that, because there's just so much going on and starting this next year, and it's quite exciting for us. Moving into the rest of the video, a lot of this is pretty simple stuff. You really need to be nailing down your food. I mean, before I get going with that, in case you haven't noticed, the country has gone through some pretty rough winter temperatures and storms in the last few days. And it's early in the season. It's unusual for a large portion of the United States to be experiencing the level of cold and wind and storms that there have been. And I was reading this morning a few different reports, and some of it was conflicting, but I was seeing somewhere numbers, and somewhere in the neighborhood of close to 50 people have been confirmed died in the last few days in the United States because of these storms. So like I've been saying all along, cold weather is a killer. I mean, you can certainly die due to heat exposure, and it happens, but cold weather is nasty, and it's a killer. And places up in Buffalo, New York, I was seeing Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, the folks there have been burning clothes and trash in their homes because they can't get access to firewood or propane to fill their tanks, because there's been so much snow that vehicles can't even move around, and people are freezing there. In New York, like I said, many people have died due to the extreme cold. So it's not something to laugh at. It's not a joke. It really happens. I think Jackson, Mississippi, if I'm correct, excuse me, they're completely without water because of the cold. A lot of stuff's going on, and so you need to make sure you are prepared. And if it's not the end of the world apocalypse, it's just the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on, and we're just starting with winter. I mean, winter just started, and we're already dealing with this. It could be a really rough year for cold. So make sure that your food is nailed down. USDA is expecting that food prices will continue to increase in 2023. So it's going to just get worse. So, if you're not as stocked up as you need to be right now, and you're like, yeah, but food prices has gone up. I mean, it's hard to just go out there and stock up on a 6-month food supply or a year food supply. Yes, but guess what? In 6 months, it's going to be even harder. So if nothing else, you're doing it to save money. I look at our food supplies. Foods that I bought 6 months and a year ago, that we're using now. I'm using the same foods at a cheaper price than what maybe some of you are that just bought that same food this past week. So if nothing else, as a cost savings, if you went out and you purchased 6 months food right now, in 6 months when you're eating that food, you're going to be eating cheaper food than you would if you bought it brand new right at that moment. So keep stocking up. Make it a high priority this year of stocking up on food. You should have work towards a goal of at least a 1 to 2 year food supply. These are foods that you're normally eating anyways. Don't stock up on stuff that you would never eat. Most of your just daily use pantry items in your kitchen will have about a 1 year shelf life, at least a 1 year shelf life. So if those items, the non-perishable items that's going to be in your pantry, the spices or peanut butter or things like that, pasta, you should have at least 1 year of what you need on hand. And so work towards that. The same way with medical supplies. You should have a decent, good supply of medicals. And I'm not talking about just Band-Aids. I'm talking about being able to stabilize basic injuries on your homestead, on your home. And so look into that. You can buy kits that cover most of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's some amazing companies out there that make some great stuff. I have no affiliation with Refuge Medical, but they do make some of the best kits on the market. But you can also save money by just buying those items individually. And if that's the way you want to go, then do that. But make sure you have medical supplies, because the medical supplies are becoming in fairly short supply. They're becoming hard to come by. Okay, and as the relationships with China and places over there in Asia become worse with us, it's going to be harder to get, because the vast majority of medical supplies come from those regions. So certainly be stocking up on that. Same way with medicines, over-the-counter medicines. I mean, as you've all seen, I'm sure already this cold season. It's becoming harder and harder to find over-the-counter medications, your cough medicines, your cold medicines, your pain medicines, things like that, children's medications. And so having a decent supply of that stuff stored away is a really smart idea. Water is life. Water is life. You have to have a really solid plan for water. You need to be able to store some water. Now, you can't store lots and lots and lots of water, because water takes up a lot of space, and it's very heavy. So you can't say, well, I'm going to store 6 months of water. Most people are not capable of storing that kind of water. You may be able to store a week or two at most. So your other plans are, you need to be able to find water somewhere, whether it's on your property, whether it's through a creek like this, or a pond, or a swimming pool, or some way that you can get access to water. And then you need to have a way to purify that water, to sterilize it so that it's safe to drink. There's all sorts of water purification systems out there. A really good one that we end up using because of it's just economical is the Alexa Pure. There's the My Patriot Supply down in the link below. You can click on that if you're interested in buying Alexa Pure filters. But there's lots of others. You don't have to go that route. There's other types of filters. You can make your own filters. And there's all kinds of videos on how to make those. So you want to make sure that you have your water supply nailed down. What you're storing, where you can get access to it, and how you can keep that water clean. And you can also just, rainwater collection, put a cistern in. There's all kinds of options for that. And whatever works best for you, you need to make sure you have it. Other things like self-defense stuff, this is a common one, the bullets. Right now, ammunition and guns are probably as cheap as they've been in the last 2 years or so. But that may be changing. I don't know. I don't know of anything specific, but if we end up in a kinetic war with Russia or China, we'll see some shortages, because all these manufacturing, most of these big manufacturers, they have contracts with the government. And if the government says, hey, we need you to, increase production by 50%, they have to honor those contracts before they sell to the civilian market. So just in that alone, we could see some serious ammunition shortages. And as more and more people in power in Washington want to take guns away, we're going to see that kind of stuff go up anyway. So my advice to you is, if you can purchase your ammunition soon and stock up on that, and your weapons, then I would do that. You don't have to have a ton. A lot of people, they've got 15 or 20 different guns, and that's fine, man. I've had lots and lots of firearms over the years. But if you don't, having a good rifle, good handgun that you know how to use and you feel comfortable with it, and it is really going to cover most of your needs. Of course, there's other, do you have a hunting rifle? Do you have a shotgun? Things like that. But when you're starting off, just start off with the basics, and find something that works well for you, that you feel comfortable shooting, and then, stock up on the ammunition you need for it. That way you're not trying to buy ammunition for 5 or 6 different types of calibers and weapons. Go with the simple, keep it simple, and stock up and make sure you have what you need, and then get out and train. And see, that's the other aspect of all of the preparedness, is making sure that you're training and you're practicing, you're developing skills. This cold weather that we're dealing with, that should tell you and remind you that you need to be focusing on your heat and your fuels. How many different ways do you have to heat your home? If it's just electricity, that's not enough. If it's electricity and propane, that's not enough. If it's propane and kerosene, that's not enough. Have multiple ways to provide heat in your home, and then make sure that you have, good quality clothing, boots, footwear, socks, outer clothing, in case things get bad like they have been the last few days, so that you can get out and around. I've got to brag on this. I got a pair of boots that I picked up, and they're old. I could probably sell them for a little bit of money, because there's some old boots from like the 60s that I picked up, 60s or 70s. They're old Field and Stream boots, and they looked brand new. They just hadn't really ever been used. But they're the big, thick Arctic boots. And I wore those around the whole time when it was cold here, negative temperatures and stuff. My feet were never, ever cold. I've never worn a pair of boots in that kind of cold weather that my feet stayed warm the whole time. That kind of stuff's important. So make sure you have the clothing and the gear that you need. Look at your tool supply. Do you have the tools necessary to plant a garden, to harvest a garden, to raise animals, and to process them when it comes time to make food out of those animals? Do you have the seeds that you need? Start looking at this kind of stuff. I know it's daunting and it can be overwhelming, but it is doable. And if you set aside, budget a certain amount of money, look at cheaper ways to get stuff, maybe bulk buying with friends. A lot of times if 4 or 5 people go in and buy stuff, depending on the business, you can get the price down if you buy it in bulk. Look at thrift stores, yard sales, secondhand places. Do a little bartering and trading with your neighbors and stuff to get stuff. There are multiple ways to acquire the things that you need, so that you become more prepared. You don't have to, go out and buy brand new everything and buy the most expensive of everything. There are economical ways, and I encourage you to figure those out and to get things nailed down sooner than later, because this next year looks to be a pretty big doozy of a year. I mean, the stuff that could very possibly happen could be some detrimental things to our society. So make sure that you're getting that done, stocking up, getting things squared away solid, so that you're not going into this new year completely unprepared for all the things that may happen. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order. It's time to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.